Hello everyone, this is 1995 Express, and I want to apologize for the delay of the Thomas the Tank Engine audio adaptation, but I'm still trying to get some special music for that, and I'm waiting for permission to be granted. But anyway, to make it up for it, I decided to release my fourth questions and answers video and answer whatever questions have popped up. So here we are. Okay, the first YouTuber is Zephyr4501, and his only question is, what are your thoughts on the Pennsylvania Railroad's 5550? Honestly, I don't really have much of an interest in locomotives with shark noses. It just doesn't generate the same feelings that I have whenever I look at other engines, aside from those with all those steam pumps and generators and things on their faces. Seriously, why did they ever come up with that? Okay, next YouTuber is Dockside Salty Eo1, and his first question is, what are my thoughts on Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure? Now, normally I wouldn't give out my opinion on something that hasn't come out yet because my judgments could be wrong. However, what news I have heard about the film are mostly positive, and I can't wait to see it when it comes out. Question 2. What are my thoughts on The Adventure Begins? You know, I never thought I'd see the day when the first stories of Thomas the Tank Engine and the 3 railway engines would be adapted into a special. In fact, I never even would have considered the idea. But apparently it can be done, and in a good way, I might add. True, it has some blips, but I definitely put it in my list of favorite specials, which you can refer to in my second Q&A video. The pros that I like about The Adventure Begins is that not only does it adapt the original stories, but it adds new material that ties into the universe of Audrey's world. Thomas is seen in a London, Brighton and South Coast livery for the first time. James is in a black coat of paint. Quite refreshing after all those years of him being red, I think. We see and hear about a coffee pot engine, and the railway is referred to as the Northwestern Railway. Pros related to the television series are that we hear Junior Campbell and Mike O'Donnell's classic themes for the engines. Farquhar is seen once more, Thomas has the rear bunker stripe again, and there are so little engines on the island. Seriously, it's just refreshing to see just Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, and James working on the railway by themselves, rather than seeing so many other engines working in the background. I hardly missed Emily, Charlie, Rosie, Paxton, Caitlin, Connor, etc., etc. It's nice to see the railway get a chance to breathe. There's too many engines on the island these days. Of course, there are cons as well as pros. First off, Edward's personality doesn't entirely fit with his character. In the intro, for instance, he's rather annoyed at Gordon for his complaints and his ignorance. Granted, children wouldn't have understood Edward having a laugh at Gordon, since the whole bit of Gordon boasting about how grand he would look pulling the express was omitted. No, I take it back. He still boasts about it, but after he gets stuck on the hill, and he boasts it to Thomas instead of Edward. The point being that Edward could have been a little bit more jovial. Here's how I would have wrote out this scene. A good stride. A good stride. The shame of it. Oh, the shame of it. Cheer up, Gordon. You're doing a railway a good bit of service pulling that pot. But I am an express engine. I am not made for that sort of work. Thankfully, I won't have to pull goods trains for long. Another con is that Henry's intolerance to the rain has been made into an actual phobia, which is a rather silly notion to make. I mean, one little drop, and Henry gets all jumpy. You would have imagined that Henry had an accident with pigeons once and assumed that rain was the same thing as bird poo. And while on the subject of Henry, he's in his new shape. This one might not be something to make a big deal out of, but it does create a set of problems. One, it deviates from the original timeline of the story in that Henry was meant to be in his old shape at the time. Two, if you plan to adapt more Audrey stories in the future, like the ones from Henry the Green Engine, how are you guys going to explain the changing of Henry's shape if he's already in his new one? Another thing that you could have utilized is the crew's roles a little bit more. The only driver we hear speak is Gordon's driver. There were a good number of chances that another driver could have spoken. Thomas's driver especially. He could have told Thomas to wake up. He could have told Thomas to wait until his train was ready. He could have even explained to Thomas about the breakdown train. That was the driver's original role in the episodes and books anyways. And speaking about the breakdown train, it's nice to see some characterization added to them, but honestly, I'm not so keen on the faces. Personally, I would have just added megaphones to them like they did in Tugs, but who am I to judge on matters like that? One of two personal cons is that when we see the scene of the Fat Controller in his office, we see on his desk a photograph of him and his mum. Why am I nitpicking this? Well, for one reason, don't you think that the photo should be black and white instead of color considering the time period? And for another reason, there's a photo of him with his mum, but none of Lady Hat. What, sir? No love for your wife? Silence! The other personal con is the arrangement of the truck's Thomas poles. Maybe I'm being a bit picky, but I find the whole arrangement off. What I mean is that the arrangement deviates from both the Railway Series illustration and the original 1984 version. I'm used to seeing a van behind the first truck in the train. That's one of the features that gives Thomas his iconic and memorable image that practically every fan has seen. Come on guys, would putting a van behind the first truck hurt you that badly? Now with the pros and cons out of the way, there were some wishes I would have liked to have seen in the special. One, it would have been nice if Ringo Starr was involved with this. He could have narrated the story or sung the songs. Anything! It's 70 years, and Ringo has the honor of being the first narrator for the TV series. 2. I wish some other station were featured rather than Knapford. It would have been nice to see Tidmouth Terminus again, or Vickerstown Station for once. I'm bored of Knapford these days. That's pretty much all I have to say about The Adventure Begins. Question 3. What is my wish list for Season 19 of Thomas and Friends? Well, on the top of my list is less episodes of Samson. In fact, no episodes at all. I could machine gun this engine until he explodes, I hate him so much. I mean, attitude-wise, he's Gordon, James, and Spencer all combined. He's so arrogant, he has more stupidity than common sense. He can't even tell the difference between a pile of scrap and a well-maintained bike and car.
Oh dear. Sometimes.
I can just imagine Harvey thinking, ugh, why am I teamed up with this lunatic? Seriously, Mr. Brenner, you're doing a fabulous job at maintaining the franchise and coming up with great ideas, but Samson is definitely not one of your better ones. Second on my list is good voices for Donald, Douglas, Daisy, and the small railway engines. I'm not too worried about Donald and Douglas since they've already picked good voices for Duck, Oliver, and Toad, but for the small railway engines, I'm uncertain about how they'll turn out. I've always imagined Mike having a gruff, deep voice like one of the Ironworks diesels, Bert sounding like Warrior from Tugs, and Rex having a nasal voice sounding like, well, Carrie Shell's Diesel voice. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Rex should sound like Diesel, it's just that Diesel never really had a voice which I liked. The only actors I can think of who gave Diesel the perfect voice are Ringo Starr and George Carlin. I like hearing Diesel speaking with a deep voice with a lot of oiliness and smoothness. I especially like the accent Ringo gave Diesel.
Good morning, purred Diesel in an oily voice. Pleased to meet you, Duck. Is that James and Henry and Gordon too? I am delighted to meet such famous engines.
He almost makes Diesel sound like he's from Transylvania. I am delighted to meet such famous engines. I want to drink your oil. Okay, I'm going to stop before people start getting aroused by Diesel's sexy voice. And speaking of sexy, I think Daisy should have the voice of a real lady who sounds sensual but has the personality of sass. I could think of a couple of friends who I know who'd be possible choices, but most of them are going to college now, and I doubted if any of them would want to start a voice acting career. Now, other than those things, I can't think of any more wishes for Season 19. Question 4. Would I make an engine that is similar to Lady to appear in the MRA? No. I intend to have Lady as a one-off prototype locomotive. I don't really feel the need to give Lady a twin. Question 5. What's my favorite video game? I don't really have a specific favorite. Come to think of it, I don't really have specific favorite anythings. I can tell you some of my favorite games. Now, if you've watched my first Q&A video, you can remember that I've only played the Nintendo 64 system and the GameCube system, so my amount of games are limited. When using the Nintendo 64 system, I started out playing the games just for the fun of it. Thusly, I never really got to the final goal of the games. It was ages before I started playing the games for achievement. So some of the games I played, I never really delved deeply into until a long time later. Super Mario 64, for instance. For most of my time with N64, I was always stuck on the first and second floors of the castle. It wasn't until I got a cheat book, or a guidebook, whatever you call it, that I really started making progress. Some of the interesting worlds were the Clock Tower, the Large and Small World, the Haunted House, Egypt, and Cloud 9. Starting to get a bit nostalgic here. Star Fox was always a favorite of mine, though I never really got to face Andros. I couldn't even get past Star Wolf, they were so difficult. One feature I really liked was playing in Fox's point of view, right in the cockpit. It made things a bit difficult at times, but it was more interesting to see the POV rather than the caboose of the fighter. Gemini Force 1... Oh, sorry, that's the Jerry Anderson novel. Jet Force Gemini was another game which I liked. Well, truth be told, this was the only game in which I never started from the beginning. It belonged to someone else at first, one of my cousins to be specific, and they gave it away to me and my brother. Thus, we never really got the full story and object of the game. All we knew was that we had to kill the ants and save the teddy bears. Aside from that, I was always impressed with the visuals and the music. There were so many different worlds, each one unique, and the music always fit the worlds perfectly. Of course, there were some bits of the game that I found disconcerting. One of them was that when the main character was turned into an ant just so as to disguise himself in enemy territory. Just to let you guys know, I am not a guy who likes unnatural metamorphosis and transformation. I can't really stomach them when I see them. So don't expect any MRA characters to turn into whatever the heck, like Lily turning into a mermaid or Patch turning into a werewolf or that sort of thing. One character that I didn't like was the Teddy Bear King, because he was the one who showed the next disconcerting image. The past visions of the ants attacking the teddy bear village. I don't really consider myself emotional, but I just shattered when I saw the teddy bears attacked and that lone one crying over the loss of her village and friends. For a silly idea like ants attacking teddy bears, think about that, folks. This variation of the concept was really dark and tragic. In fact, I still feel shattered by it. Not now. Not the waterworks. Hold on, folks. I'll be right back. Okay, I think I've talked enough about Jet Force. Was there anything else? Oh, right, Diddy Kong Racing. Does anyone else remember that? For a game that's more child-friendly compared with others, this one really had nice visuals and music. I always liked the galactic courses and the medieval forest tracks. Those ones always stuck out to me out of all the race layouts. Now, on to GameCube. One of the games that I like is Star Fox Adventures. Now, I know this game was disliked by many fans because it was a walkabout game rather than a Starfighter game like all the other Star Fox games, but who can blame them? This game was originally supposed to be its own canon. It was originally developed for N64 as Dinosaur Planet by Rare, the same company that made Jet Force Gemini. But when GameCube was created, Nintendo asked Rare to scrap the idea and make a Star Fox game. And what did they do? They still released Dinosaur Planet, just with Star Fox added to the concept. But it's not really the story that I find interesting, it's the design of the game. Some of the costumes and buildings have an appearance that closely resembles the design of ancient Arabia. The shopkeeper always did remind me of a genie. No, a genie, not genie. Of course, the game does have its flaws. One of them is the disguise trick in which Star Fox turns himself into a raptor to get past the guards. Really, Rare, what's with the metamorphosis thing? It's never going to happen! Then there's the Krazoa test of fear. Heavens above, that took ages to get through! Also, there's the lack of involvement Crystal has in the game. Jeez, and Thomas fans think that Thomas had little screen time in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. In fact, Crystal has even less screen time than Lady! Talk about a plot device! Enter the Dragonfly I liked for the same reasons, the designs. My favorite levels are the Himalayan world and the Thieves' Den. Okay, that's out of the way. The next YouTuber is Big Mac Rules, and his first question is, have I watched My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and if so, am I a brony? Well, I have seen a couple of episodes on Daily Motion, but it doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not saying that it's bad, it's just that I don't get as hyped up about it as I do for Thomas the Tank Engine or the Kingdom Keepers. Sure, the characters are well made, I'm just not as interested as I am in the series that I like. So, as you can guess, I'm not a brony. I do, however, enjoy the Thomas Pony crossover videos, Give 'em a Pony and Power the Stare. But, seriously, can I ask you guys this? Why is it always the cutest one who gets into the weirdest situations? Eh? Tell me that! Question 2. What do I think is better, Big Boy 4014 or Challenger 3985? Well, it depends on how well they perform. 3985 has been working for a long time now, and 4014 has spent most of her retirement stuffed in cage. Kind of an unfair comparison, which is why I won't consider the better one until 4014 is restored to operating condition. Question 3. Have I ever wanted to do a video games Let's Play? If I played video games more than I do, I would. Right now I'm focusing a lot more on model making, story writing, filmmaking, and playing with toy trains. Truthfully, it's so much fun, I don't miss video gaming at all. Well, I do think of Star Fox once in a while, but I'm quite satisfied with what I do already, so at this point, no Let's Play videos from me. Number 4. Do I like the online TV shows Ruby and Red vs. Blue? I've never seen the shows, so I wouldn't know. Number 5. Do I watch Top Gear UK? Only if I'm in England visiting a relative who just happens to be watching it, which is very rarely since I live in the USA and air travel is so darn costly. Next YouTuber, Joseph Lyon, and his first question is, what are my thoughts on Solar's Legend of the Lost Treasure? You can refer to the answer I gave to Dockside Salty Eo1 question. Question 2. Did I see Little Mermaid at Ariel's beginning, and what are my thoughts on it? Okay, a Disney sequel. Honestly, I'm not much of a fan of Disney sequels, as they pretty much were made for the efforts of making more money. Plus, they were all made for a more modern audience, which kind of ruins the feeling of the original films. As for Ariel's beginning, I can't say it was very impressive when I first watched it. Sure, some points were okay, but does Ariel's mother really have to look precisely like her daughter? None of Ariel's sisters share any similarities with their mother. Call it whatever you like, I call it lazy character design. It could have also used a different villain rather than an ugly, elderly mermaid who can somehow change her tail color to any costume in Party City. How does that even work? None of the other merfolk can change their tail color. How does she do it? There's no explanation. It doesn't add up. A better villain for the story would be, oh, I don't know, Ursula when she was younger? Oh, I'm not supposed to say her name. Sorry about all that. I should have remembered that in the Kingdom Keepers, saying the sea witch's name anywhere near water apparently calls her forth. Anyway, back to our topic. The Sea Witch would have been a perfect villain for Ariel's beginning. It would explain why she was actually banished from the palace in the first place, something we actually don't know about. Oh, and before you ask, I actually hate the Sea Witch, for what she did in the Kingdom Keepers, so don't think I'm supporting her for my sake, or hers. Question 3. What is my wish list for season 19 of Thomas and Friends? You can refer to the answer I gave to Dockside Salty Eo1 question. Question 4. Would I make an engine that is similar to Lady to appear in the MRA? Oh, come on! This is getting silly! Doesn't anyone read any other people's comments anymore? You can refer to the answer I gave to Dockside Salty's Eo1 question. And the next time any repeat question pops up, I'm just going to skip to the next question. Got it? Question 5. What is my favorite Disney movie? And will Ply Rail bring back some characters like Duck, Oliver, Bill, Ben, Boko, Diesel, Mavis, Stanley, like what they brought back Harvey to Ply Rail? Blah, 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 blah. I like being specific, so don't expect a general answer. Disney is famous for making animated classics as well as animated revisions of classic. And now a bit of live-action revisions of animated classics. Ironically, Disney has made more live-action films than animated films. Most of these live-action films are rarities, nearly close to being forgotten in the sands of time. One of these films I remember is so dear to my heart. Does anyone else remember that? The highlights for that film for me have always been the train scenes, which only chugs in 3 times during the whole film. I also like the opening title song, So Dear to My Heart.
So dear to my heart, that September-y day, when that old shady lane we strolled was just turning scarlet and gold. So dear to my heart.
However, I'd have to say that my favorite live-action Disney film would have to be The Great Locomotive Chase. This is the first film that Disney ever made that was actually based on a true story, the Andrews Raid of the Civil War. And for his credit, it was done rather good. True, there were some flaws with it, but I feel that so far, this is the closest rendition of the actual event, and believe me, there's not a lot of film adaptations of this story. Unfortunately, the film hasn't, and still doesn't, receive much of the attention that it deserves. Probably because Disney fans were so used to associating Disney with romance, that they were disappointed with this film because it doesn't have any romance in it. Also, Civil War veterans were a bit nitpicky about some points in the film that weren't accurately followed. But I still think it's a great film, And hey, it uses real steam engines, so it's 10 times better than the Lone Ranger. And as for the Ply-Rail thing, who do you think I am, the CEO of Ply-Rail? I've never been to any country in Asia and Oceania, let alone live there. I live in a country where Trackmaster is the master of plastic battery-powered Thomas toys. I have absolutely no idea what Ply-Rail has in plan for its range. Sorry, but I'm not the guy to ask. Okay, the next YouTuber is DragonZilla, and his first question is, have I seen The Rise of Steam by Cactus 190706? No, I haven't, but as soon as I look at it, I'll let you know what I think of it. Question 2. Did I see Sodor the Dark Times, and if so, what are my thoughts on it? Yes, I did. I found it rather depressing. A new engine called Alfred, who is apparently 98462, returns to the island of Sodor only to destroy the steam engines. I mean, Thomas and his friends are immortalized. It's rather discouraging to see them get blown to Kingdom Come. I like dark stories, but even dark stories have to have a good ending to it. Question 3. What engine or engines do I think would make great characters for the Railway series? An S160. Now, you're probably tired of hearing me jabber about the S160, but let's face it. Other than the S100 Yankee Tanky, the GI Consolidation is the only perfect American steam engine to work on the island of Sodor. Sorry to disappoint, none of the other American engines should be on the island. I like Connor and Caitlin, but they are just not meant to work on Sodor, because their basis is too high. Porter and Timothy might be alright, for the moment, if they were scaled to the right size. And Sam. Lord forgive these imbeciles, why him of all engines? Sure, he has a nice friendly personality, but he's a smoking Blue Ridge Malay! If I were a lesser man, I'd be using gutter language at him. But unlike the rest of the world population, I still maintain some dignity and honor. Back to the subject, why choose a Blue Ridge? Listen, guys, over at the Thomas & Friends development team, if you wanted to use an American engine, why not use the S160? If you wanted to use an articulated engine, why not use one of the engines England made for African export, but a Blue Ridge Malay? The only good shots you'll get of Sam is out in the open landscape. You can't show him going under bridges or through tunnels, or even a station for Pete's sake. Come on, guys, you're losing your heads with this American rubbish. I've heard people complain that Thomas and the Magic Railroad Americanized the franchise, but for the record, at least it was meant to present Sodor as a UK island and Indian Valley as an American landmark. Two separate worlds. What's really Americanizing the Thomas franchise is bringing these Yankee engines onto Sodrian tracks. Frankly, I'd rather see two worlds rather than bring useless engines over to Sodor. I'd rather have Thomas and the Magic Railroad than Sam, or Connor, or Kalen, or Hank, or even the logging locos on the island. Okay, the next YouTuber is Richard the Blue Hunslet Engine. Hello again. And his first question is, what do I think of Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and the Nightmare animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's 4? Okay, Springtrap and the Nightmare animatronics. In a word, horrific. I mean, who in their right mind would even think of making the Nightmare animatronics? Those things. Who would even want to get close to these guys? They just look so dangerous. If these guys really existed, I'd stay as far away from them as possible. I mean, they're even scarier than Pinchy. If this is all the purple guy is doing, then promise to heaven I will see that man incinerated. And speaking of the purple guy, he is Springtrap! Springtrap, or as I like to call him, the Devil's Spawn, is just one of the most grotesque things that I've ever seen. I mean, rotting exterior, rusty limbs, remains of the purple guy's body. It's just... Why would anyone think of making these spring-locked suits if they were just so risky? I mean, they're just as dangerous on the inside as much as the nightmare robots are on the outside. If you'll excuse me, I'd rather take my chances going up against the toy animatronics rather than these guys. Phantoms? Oh, now what? Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
This is the general management of Fazbear Entertainment.
Phone guy?
You've probably heard about us through our Freddy Fazbear's restaurant chain. Now, you may be questioning the fact as to why we're calling since the restaurants have been closed.
Yeah, I am.
That statement is true, but the company is still ongoing.
Say what?
We're currently trying to revamp the franchise for a future restaurant line. And this time we're trying to avoid any, difficulties should we encounter them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so anyways, to get to the point, we were testing one of our animatronics earlier today. One that's been recently found within your local Fazbear's Pizza.
What?
Yeah, it's still there, even if nobody's going there anymore.
How come I never saw it?
But, something went wrong just happened, and now it's gotten loose.
Eh?
It was one of our original models, one that can be converted so that a person can wear it. As of now, we suspect someone, or something, to be inside that suit. So, yeah. Anyways, if you happen to see it, or if in the case breaks into your house, just do nothing about it. Just stay in your room, lock your doors, and hopefully it won't try to break through.
That doesn't make me feel
If you do
better.
happen to see it, don't call the police.
What?
Just call us, okay? We don't want to, have our company shut down under false accusations. Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all safety. Our number is 1800.
What was that? No, wait, no, can you repeat that for me, please?
So, if you have any problems, just give us a call and we'll send our staff to retrieve the animatronic immediately.
What? No, wait, can you repeat that phone number, please? Wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be dead at this point?
Oh, by the way, this is a recorded message for this type of emergency.
What?
See you on the flip side.
Wait, but... Well, I wasn't gonna do this until later, but... Looks like I have no choice. Come out, come out. Wherever you are. If you surrender now, I won't hurt you too badly. This isn't exactly normal.
Hello?
Eh? What the hey is that? Okay, I think I know who I'm dealing with now. No way, Devil Spawn. I'm not going for Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not going to even take on the prequel or sequel. Not me. I don't even have a gaming channel. Now you're picking on random people to challenge you? That's cruelty right there. I knew you were cruel when you were human, but this is lunacy. Me, a coward? Am I a coward to say that you're not 100% scary? The only thing scarier than you is your suit in the design of a demonic peacock with all the deterioration that you have with parasitic spores growing out of your head and your human face looking like the girl from that abomination you call the Exorcist. Because it is nothing. You just sat in an abandoned restaurant deteriorating. Besides, if I wanted to be up against all your animatronics, I'd go join the Kingdom Keepers. They go through a ton of things worse than Freddy's Pizzeria and Fazbear's Fright combined. Five Nights at Freddy's playing as a security guard trying to save and risk his life by keeping robots at bay. 5 kids wandering through America's Disney parks every night fighting against warlocks, machines, monsters, and Satan himself. That's magic, science, life, and spirits pitted together. 5 kids against a fierce four. That surpasses 1 security guard against science. You want to try and beat that, Rotter? I can see the life and science aspects, and maybe a bit of the spirit part, but where's the magic in you? You didn't have to remind me. You think those were the secrets telling hard. I killed 6 giant infested pizzas, and as a result got stuck inside this human rabbit suit. Rusted metal, bacteria-infested intestines, deteriorating wires and things. I left out a train wreck abandoned for 30 years, and still there are these 3 rods that was a wild fall, and sadly separated the Now then, where was I? Oh yes. Question 2. What do I think of Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure? Skip it! Number 3. Do I watch gaming channels like Vanos Gaming, Venturian Tale, Jack Skeptic Eye, etc.? Sometimes. I watch a bit of Markiplier's videos. Personally, I like his cartoons more, and the adaptation of Surgery Simulator is hilarious. The one done in the Team Fortress style. I also like to watch Venturian Tale from time to time. My favorite videos are the ones in which all 4 siblings are playing the games. They really make their videos enjoyable to watch. And hey, they're freelancing their videos, so it makes them all the more creative.